guys, so I wanted to do a video of the current decks I've been using for the last few months. I use most of my decks, but then there's a solid few that I use pretty regularly, and so I wanted to do a quick video on those decks. So this is the Gaia Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. I use this almost every time I do any type of card reading. I use this with my tarot readings, but also separately for like a morning draw. This is an absolutely beautiful deck. Some of these decks I've picked some of my favorite images. This one I didn't pick favorite images because they're just all so darn good. This is an extremely loving deck. It really is gentle but also very clear. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. If I could only pick a handful of decks to keep and I'd have to get rid of the rest of them, this would definitely be in that selection of few decks. It's just a really excellent oracle deck, and Tony Carmine Salerno is one of my favorite oracle deck writers and artists. I just feel like he really embodies the message he writes with his art very well. So this is the first deck in my little list. These aren't necessarily in any particular order, just oracle and then tarot. This next deck is one of my all-time favorite decks. I work a lot with the goddess Isis, and this was my first introduction to her energy. This deck is very much, I feel, a good representation of her energy. Oh, this deck is also by Alana Fairchild. She is a goddess. Her decks are amazing. Anyway, so I am strongly connected to Egyptian energy, and this deck really feels really good to me. This deck is not for the faint of heart by any means. I use this deck off and on. Sometimes I won't use it for months at a time, and then I will use it every day. I find that if I pull even one card from this, it is a game changer for me. She is very, very powerful, and often I will only use this deck when I get the intuition from the Lady Isis that she wants to give me a message. I really adore this deck. The energy of it is absolutely beautiful, and I would highly recommend this deck, especially for women and men, but women who are really stepping into their divine feminine and goddess nature. This deck is absolutely brilliant and absolutely beautiful. All right, so on to the tarot decks. So I have been absolutely obsessed with tarot since I got into it several months ago. I am an extremely intense oracle and tarot deck collector, so I have just been binging on tarot recently. I haven't been buying as many oracle decks, but tarot has definitely been something I just cannot stop buying. I have amassed quite a collection at this point, but these are the tarot decks that I have been using the most. I do use most of my decks, but these are the ones that I usually reach for first. So this is a deck I got recently called the Deviant Moon Tarot by Patrick Valenza. And this deck is a very interesting deck. I picked some of my favorite images to come up here. This deck is, I personally only use this deck for shadow work. And I usually use it with clients when working in the shadows, so to speak. Oh my god, this is my favorite, one of my favorite cards of all times in this deck, but pretty much of all time is the Lovers card. I just absolutely love this depiction of the lovers. I just can't even get over it. This deck, its energy is not as dark as you would think. It is kind of playful and different. It does have a light aspect to it. So it kind of helps with the shadow work because you are delving into very dark places, but it does it in a light way. It's kind of hard to explain unless you really use the deck. I have been kind of obsessed with this deck. It is one of my favorite decks, and I would highly suggest it for people doing shadow work. The art itself, I just had to kind of step into it and say, yeah, it creeps me out. Yes, it's weird, but that's kind of the beauty of it. It kind of makes you think. It kind of makes you look at things a different way, and I really like that about this deck. This is a beautiful deck, and I just absolutely adore it. This next deck is the famous Wild Unknown Tarot. I do not have the guidebook with this. I have not bought it. It comes separately. But this deck was the first deck that I actually ordered online from a private publisher or like creator. This deck is as amazing as people say it is. It is absolutely stunning. The cardstock is beautiful. This was the first deck where when I looked at it, I understood the meanings without needing the guidebook. I have recently weaned myself off the guidebook for the most part. I still look up things occasionally, but I've started doing readings without the book. This was the first deck I actually felt like I could kind of do that with, and it really helped me feel confident in my reading. I absolutely love the artwork. Honestly, guys, the videos of this deck really don't do it justice. It is just absolutely stunning. The only way you can find that out is if you can look at someone's deck or you buy it, and I would highly suggest doing that. It really is worth the money. It is a little more expensive than some other decks like in the store, but completely worth it, and you're supporting a really great artist and company who has produced this. So I love this deck, and this has a very special place in my heart, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful. This next tarot deck is the Cat's Eye Tarot by Deborah M. Given. I have been wanting a cat tarot deck for ages. I am a huge cat lover, and I am going to be picking up the Mystical Cat Tarot, actually probably today. But a friend of mine who very much knows I love cats and tarot was at a crystal shop, and kind of a magic-y shop a few towns from here, and saw this deck, and he decided to pick it up for me because he is a doll. I really love this deck. The Mystical Cat Tarot I feel is more of the royal side of cats, whereas this is more like the grumpy house cat energy of cats, and I love this. This deck is actually excellent for readings. It's very clear, it's concise. I wasn't sure, like, when I first looked at it, like, what the reading was going to be like this, but honestly, this has become one of my decks that I use very often, and I really did think it was just going to be one of those decks that I collected, but I absolutely love using this deck. So the artwork in this is pretty fun. I love the depictions of the cats. I really don't like when they make cats out to be humanoid. I really feel like that messes with the energy of cat. This deck really, I feel, portrays the personality of house cats. My spirit animal, or my totem animal, is a house cat. I very much adore cats, and this deck really embodies their energy for me. If you like cats or the energy of cats, I would suggest this deck. It is really cute, and like I said, it is excellent for readings. It is very clear. I feel like it brings clarity and a bit playful, but it is also a very honest deck, and I really like that about this. Just so darn cute. Just really love this deck. And cats. I love cats. The Hanged Kitty. Most of the names in this deck are the same, except, you know, like that. But it's pretty obvious what they are. So yeah, I absolutely adore this deck. Thank you, Todd. And last but certainly not least, this is the Nicoletta Joli Tarot. This deck was given to me for my birthday by Racine, also known as Owl Moon 513. This deck I had been kind of looking at and wasn't sure about for a while. I was really drawn to it, but I wasn't sure if I liked the art or not, and it was between this and another deck, and I couldn't decide, and Racine basically was like, no, I think you really need this deck. So she gave it to me for my birthday. I absolutely adore this deck. She was right on. I find the readings with this to be extremely clear. This deck is a lot lighter than you would think from the artwork. Yes, it's a little creepy, but it really makes you think, and it really kind of takes you out of the realm of realism. I absolutely love, love, love this deck. I had several tarot decks, a couple tarot decks before this one, but this is the first one that I just like literally could not stop looking at. I really fell in love with this deck. I enjoy giving readings with this deck for other people. They seem to really like it. It's kind of different. This is also the deck that I typically carry around with me in my purse. A lot of times I will get the intuition to grab a tarot deck. It will either be this or the Wild Unknown Tarot that I will grab, because I really like doing readings for people with those two decks. But this one is really small, so it's easy. Oh my god, I love the Hierophant card in this deck. It's really easy to just throw in my purse. So yeah, so that is my current used decks for the last few months. They vary. I'll probably do another one soon. At some point in the future, I will do a couple videos of my tarot collection and my oracle collection. It is quite extensive, so it will have to be installments, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I kind of like my collection. So anyway, I hope you like this video. If you have any questions, please comment down below. All of these decks I would highly recommend. They are all beautiful and great for different things. All my social media links are down in the description. I hope you guys have a lovely day. Namaste and blessed be.